All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss. I'm Brian Goss with GM Sports Media. Today's guest is Peaster volleyball coach Autumn Threet. Uh, Thanks for hopping on for a little bit, Autumn. It's probably the best time of the year. Volleyball playoffs start next week. Peaster Lady Hounds will get Bowie in the bi-district matchup. They're 33-7 and 14-0 district champs. Um, First off, I told you this before because I had said it on my playoff preview. Your season's been remarkable considering just the amount of talent that you had graduated from last year, most notably Peyton Hall, who's now playing basketball at ACU. So the 14-0 to me was a surprise. I'm sure you guys knew what you guys were capable of and could go out there and win a district title, but yeah, just what was the transition like from the off season with, trying to replace some big shoes and then just trying to find your identity as the season was moving along?
I will say our biggest struggle early on was really just about leadership because the senior class that I have right now under Landry and Peyton and just a really strong group of a lot of personality in the graduating senior class last year. And so the seniors that I have this year, they never had to lead. And so that was probably our biggest struggle early on and trying to figure out like where they belong and who's going to kind of take the lead and who goes this way and that way. And that was really hard for us early in our season. I just kind of felt like we were a bunch of individuals trying to find our way. But once we settled in and I think Avery did a good job taking on that leadership role. She's not a very vocal kid, but it's more about like the style of play that she has, I guess. And we had to move from a mindset of being a very offensive team, having Peyton for sure, to being more of a defensive team. I definitely think that is where we are stronger this year. I don't think our offense is, I don't want to say is good because I don't think that's the right word. I would say is powerful because we just don't have the heavy hitters that we had last year. But the ball control side of our court is better. And I think that's where we found our identity and being able to control our side of the court.
Yeah, you mentioned Avery Libero, your daughter who grew up, you just mentioned grew up in Peaster. You're in your 13th season as head
Mm.
coach. Um, I mean, what's that been like, to be by her side and her 4 years, and now she's a senior, and what's that like?
Well, I think anytime you get to coach your kid is special. And she met with a reporter last week who talked to her about the same thing, and it's really kind of all we've ever known. I've always kind of coached on our club teams, and of course I've always been here through everything, so we don't really know any different. I will tell you, in our 13 years of working together, I've kicked her out of the gym twice. um, Once when she was in 7th grade and she was just trying to find her role with me and kind of how you transition from little kid volleyball to big kid volleyball. And then this year, like I said, they all kind of struggled trying to figure out what their roles were going to be. And we kind of butt heads there early on. And that was really it as far as, we bounce so much off of each other because she's ever since she was little, she's been on the sidelines, keeping stats and tossing balls. And so she sees the game differently than just playing the game. And so, I mean, just like last night, we were sitting there talking as I was watching film, and she had a great idea. And she's like, "Hey, well, Mom, why don't we what if we were to try this or try that?" So it's almost kind of like you have, of course, my assistant coaches are very valuable, but to have like another person that's on the court seeing those things, and hey, what do you think about this? And so that's really cool. And as she's matured, I mean, I've let her have a little bit more. Like, obviously, there's a lot of things that she doesn't have things to do with, but I love to have her feedback of what's going on the court. So that's been really neat, especially as she's grown into a young lady. And so, I mean, she's my best friend. I'll tell everybody that. But I would say we have a great relationship on and off the court for the most part.
If you put your mom hat on, I mean, have you even thought about like, okay, these last few games of being together is coming up?
Yeah, just thinking about it makes me want to cry because I don't know life without Avery on the bench. like I said, she started here when I was in kindergarten, and I was at at Springtown 4 years prior. So she was a year old when I started coaching volleyball. And I'd only been out of college for a year, and I played volleyball, got out of college, got married, had her. So I've kind of grown up as a head coach with Avery by my side. So I've just tried to soak in every minute of it. And I'm trying to, like her and I were talking about the other day, and I've got to redefine myself as a head coach when I'm done coaching her, because I still have purpose and I still have passion. But what I've come to realize is that a lot of what I've done for the last 13 years is so that she and many others could be a part of something special. And so take her out of the equation, and she's moving on and going to go play beach volleyball. It's going to look different, but I think, it's just a matter of, I think it's just different seasons, in my life. So.
Yeah, and she's committed and will sign in a couple of weeks with UTEP beach volleyball. So congrats to her and both of you, your family.
Thank
Like I
you.
mentioned, Peaster, you guys are 33-7 this year, and you just kind of talked about the season. I mean, at what point did you was there a game or moment where you thought, where you guys really found your identity and said, hey, we can go out and win district again?
I think my kids, they knew that they were capable of it, but it took us, like, I tried to talk to them a lot early in the season about just trusting the process, because I'm basically having to play kids. Like, I've got some sophomores in really important roles this year. Some of them are playing 6 rotations. I didn't really have a true middle coming back with any kind of experience, and I had to move Haley McDaniel over from the right side. She's not a true middle. She hasn't been trained as a middle. And so trying to get my kids to kind of buy into that, but also trust the process of, let's not peak early. I've coached teams before where we're our best in tournament season. And so, we go out to Wimberley, we have a great showing out in Wimberley, and then we kind of come back, and then I think we played in the Graham Lou Allen tournament. And we faced some adversity there. I was down my starting setter. I was having to pull kids from JV and kind of having to learn to work through things. And I think, at that Graham tournament, we were able to be successful. And I told my kids, I was like, if y'all can be successful through the ups and downs, and imagine what you can do when we're all put together, kind of thing. So I think, that, and then we came back and we played in the showcase at Peaster, and we played Stephenville and Blum and Springtown, and we did a lot of really good things. But again, we were up and down. We were not peaking, which I know is what you want to do. But it's very difficult. It was very difficult to build my schedule this year, because I knew I had a young team with not a lot of experience, especially in some key roles. But at the same time, we have a district that, outside of Brock and Millsap, there's a lot of, I would call them more still developing programs. And so I knew I had to have a tough schedule, but something we had some success. So I think that was kind of, I would say after tournament season, I knew that what they were capable of, for sure.
Talking with Peaster volleyball coach Autumn Threet, I think you had said earlier the other day that you have 3 kids signing to college, including your daughter Avery. Can you just tell us about the other 2?
Yes, of course. So Haley McDaniel, she is going to play at East Texas Baptist University. I knew when she came here as a sophomore, she had expressed to me some interest in playing, but I also knew that developmentally her skills needed to come along, and she invested tons of time outside of Peaster. And I think that really paid off. She's played for some great coaches, and she just spent the time putting in the work. And so, she had hopes of playing in there for a little while. She kind of thought, no, maybe I'm not going to. And then East Texas called, and she went and fell in love with the campus and the coach. And they recruited her as a right side, but I keep teasing her. I said, you better watch out. You've done such a great job in the middle for us this year. They may throw you in the middle. And so I'm excited for her. I think she's going to go there and do good things. So Haley's one, and then Natalie Henning has been with me forever, and she is one of my setters, and she's going to play at McPherson College in Kansas. And so I think we've had some kids out of this area. I want to say there's a couple of Azle kids that actually play at McPherson right now. And so I know Natalie's excited about that opportunity as well. And again, she's another kid that she's played club, and she's kind of, I definitely don't take credit for, everything that my kids have done, because they all go and they're doing lessons and playing in other places. So those are the other two.
Yeah, there's one from Crowley too, Jaden Polovina, who I did a story on also at McPherson. So
Okay.
shout out to Jaden. Yeah, 13th year at Peaster. Just what was it about Peaster that attracted you, and you stayed so long? And I mean, what's it about being at Peaster that makes it so special?
Um, I think whenever I was in, or my first year coaching at Springtown, we played Peaster in a scrimmage, and they beat us. And I'm actually from Springtown. I'd come home from college, and that was my first job. And I remember just watching those kids play, and I was like, man, they play with so much heart, and just how hard they played and how passionate they were. And I was like, that's a really, I remember that was my first time that I'd really noticed Peaster. And then my assistant coach in high school happened to be over here. And I was kidding with her one year when I was at the state tournament, and I saw her and I said, hey, and she was working for Diana French. So Diana was the head coach here for 28 years before me. So I'm only the second head coach in Peaster's history of volleyball, actually. And so I saw him at the state tournament, and I was like, hey, Diana, if you ever get ready to retire, call me, just kind of kidding around, because I'm basically still a kid. And so that February, I actually got a phone call, and Coach Warren, my assistant, she was like, hey, would you be interested in coming over here? And I was like, do you not want to take over? And she's like, nope, I want to be an assistant. So I was like, sure, I'll come for an interview. And once I came over, I was still a kid, and they were when I got over here, I learned so much probably within my first, I'm still learning, but so much within my first 5 years, and just the community, and my kids getting to grow up somewhere like this and be a part of a small school, which was what I wanted as well. And the opportunity for my kids to do anything they wanted to do, versus I coach a lot of club and a lot of big school kids. And I'm actually amazed sometimes, a lot of the kids that I coach, they say they don't play school ball. And that almost kind of hurts my feelings. I can't believe that such a talented kid would not play. And so I wanted my kids to have every opportunity. My son plays basketball, football, baseball, and I hope he continues to get to do that. So that was one of the draws, was, being part of a small community. And as soon as I got here, they wrapped their arms around my family. I never took Avery to a game. Her kindergarten teacher started taking her to games and putting her on the bench with me. And so it's just always felt like a family, and just, I've always had the support that, every coach dreams of, pretty much.
So you start off the playoffs with Bowie next week. Can you talk about playoff info, where, when, and just expectations with that first game with Bowie?
Sure. We played Bowie earlier in the season, and we will hit them. So we'll play in Decatur on Tuesday at 6:30 at Decatur High School. And I think it's just one match. There's not a doubleheader there that night. But like I said, we played earlier in the season. But like I've told my kids, Bowie's in a pretty strong district. They have to play Holiday and Henrietta. So, as far as preparing my kids for them, I just keep telling them, like, you don't overlook anybody in the playoffs. It doesn't matter that, previously in the season we beat them, but they've come a long way as a team. We've also come a long way as a team. And so I think it's going to be a great match. They've got some athletic kids. They've got some kids that that do a great job for them. And Bowie traditionally is known for athletes. So we're definitely not looking past them or anybody else. So that's first round, and that'll be on Tuesday.
Can you give us an idea what 3A Region 1 looks like?
Yeah, this year it's been a weird year for 3A. I feel like so many people graduated, tons of kids. Holiday graduated 12. I know Henrietta graduated several. So we're all kind of in the same boat. Like, we were all happened to be, I don't know if you want to say rebuilding is the right word, but we all kind of lost a lot of key players. And so it's going to be a battle. On the top half of the bracket, I kind of see Holiday, of course. Holidays in that mix. You got Bushland, you've got Brock. Brock may surprise some people for sure. I definitely think, the way they're coming along. Henrietta is also a good team. They're on the bottom half of the district. And one of the new Lubbock Cooper Liberty schools, I think they may come in and surprise some people. They're actually on the top. I'm trying to remember. I've got my bracket all filled out, but I think those are all definitely teams to watch. Wall's kind of in that mix as well.
Awesome. And I'll get you out on this. I'm just curious because today is UIL Snapshot Day, or
Yeah.
you turn in your enrollment numbers for the upcoming realignment. And I know some people, some Peaster people, some Brock people that butt heads. It does look like Brock's going to move up to 4A, and so as long as I've been here 10 years, I think Brock and Peaster's always been in the same district for
For
most of
all of
the years.
eternity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I just, initial thoughts about not being in the same district anymore.
I can only speak for myself. I don't want to speak for other coaches here, but what I will tell you is that I have a good relationship with Coach Gay, the volleyball coach over there. And I told him at our district meeting the other day, I said, hey, what day you want to play? Because I want to keep that alive. I think that Peaster Brock rivalry is something that is special and that a lot of kids don't get to experience it. And I also told my kids before we played them on Friday, I said, you may not. Some of you guys may, we may never see while you're in high school. I don't know that we'll be back in the same district with them. We're not growing at the same rate. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but take advantage of the last time. But I definitely already asked him if he wanted to play. So I think volleyball probably will. And, and for each sport, it's going to be a different route. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but for me, it's always been one of those things that it's like a love-hate relationship. You love to beat them and you love to play them, but sometimes you don't just because of all the craziness that goes along with it.
And actually, I got one more thing for you. Just again, curious. Just talk about your volleyball path and playing. You said you played and you went to Springtown.
Mm-hmm. So I played for the infamous Carrie Lowry. She's pretty much a legend in the volleyball world. And I played volleyball, basketball all through high school. But I loved basketball, but I would say volleyball was my passion. So I knew I wanted to go play. And so I went as a setter to the University of Arkansas in Fort Smith, and I played there for 2 years. Played in at the time they were junior college, and I got to play in a junior college national championships. So that was really cool. I had a lot of success there, and then I went on and played at Henderson State University, which is a Division II school in Arkansas. Played volleyball there for 2 years, and then from there, I went to the University of West Georgia, where I was a grad assistant working on my master's, and then God had other plans. And Matthew and I, my husband and I, he played baseball where I played, and we ended up getting married and having Avery. And, from there, I didn't really ever think about what I wanted to do for a living. I have a degree in communications, actually. I didn't go to school to be a coach or a teacher.
Shout out communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess I would say that coaching chose me. I didn't necessarily choose coaching. And so went back to Springtown, where I stayed there for 4 years my first year actually was a basketball coach, 27-0, never lost a basketball game. That's why I'll never coach it again. So I was a basketball coach. And then the head coach, Leanne, who's still there, she asked me if I would like to come on and be her assistant. So that's kind of how it worked out. And this, that's the path that led me to Peaster from there.
Yeah. Like they say, right? God has a plan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So were you trying to push Avery to be a setter like you, or?
I tried. I did, because I knew that she wasn't going to be very tall. And I knew that, being a middle hitter was not going to be her thing. In fact, in 7th grade, I made her set, and she set and hit on the front row. I mean, she's a whopping 5'1" 3/4. But kid has a lot of heart, so I made her do that, and it was good for her, and I think that helped her learn the game too. But when she told me, she's like, "Mom, I want to be a libero. That's what I want to do." I kind of let her do that, and once we realized, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but liberos, I don't want to say are a dime a dozen, but you can take a 6-foot kid in the collegiate level and make him a libero. And it's harder to kind of find somewhere. She knew she wanted to go play, and then she found her love for beach. And so at that point in time, I just supported her dream. And I mean, beach was the best thing that she could have ever done for being a libero. It definitely improved her game for sure.
Awesome. Again, she's going to UTEP for beach volleyball. So congratulations. But hey,
Yeah.
Autumn, we appreciate the time. Again, Peaster and Bowie is the bi-district round Tuesday night indicator. So go check them out. Thanks again, Autumn, and best of luck in the playoffs.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, for Maddie Cawley and GM Sports Media, I'm Brian Goss.